So we're starting another one of our Facebook lives. We've done, I think this is the fifth one now, Robbie, fifth or sixth. We're getting most of the athletes together. We've got three of the stars who are racing about 24. We've got Jorik van Egdom, the current under 23 world champion. He's on the Gold Coast. He's from Holland. He's joining us. We've got Andreas Salversberg, one of the Swissies, also on the Gold Coast. So everyone's in Australia at the moment. It's good to have the Swiss out here. The Swiss have been so powerful over the years in the triathlon space. So it's great to have him on board with Super League. And Ryan Fisher, he's as Aussie as they come. Grew up in Queensland, right down the road from where this race is going to be. Well, not down the road, a couple of hours. And, of course, the great Robbie McEwen, who's going to be part of our commentary team. We're just going to ask some of the questions of the boys, what they're expecting of the racing and how they think it's going to go. And it's only, 8 days away now. So I'll start with Fish. Ryan, you've had two World Cup wins. You're only 25. I keep thinking you're a bit of an older guy, but you're relatively young. You're 67 kilos. It seems everybody in this triathlon space is around that 65 to 70 kilo mark. And I like you, one of the exciting races. You have a go. You represented Australia as part of the Australian Olympic team in Rio. You finished 23rd at the Games. It was a spectacular event. Mate, as Aussies, we grew up watching this and admiring this super sprint racing. Are you excited about Hamilton Island and Super League?
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, it was sort of, to a degree, the reason I got into the sport is what made it exciting to people that didn't know anything about the sport. And, growing up, a lot of the guys that I'd heard of, I hadn't heard of the guys internationally as such. It was all the Aussie guys. It was, yourself, Miles, Courtney, and that was all through that Essentia St. George sort of series stuff. So, I think this being a similar sort of format, it's exciting. And now for me to be part of something that, like I said, I grew up watching, it's pretty exciting.
We got 3 days of racing up there on Hamilton Island, which we never did in the old days. It tended to be one event somewhere and we went somewhere else. Is there any of those formats you're particularly looking forward to? We got the triple mix on the Friday, that equaliser, which is something that no triathlete's ever done before, a split race with a TT at the start, and obviously the eliminator on the Sunday. Any of those formats you're particularly looking forward to?
I think the equaliser, just because it is different. At the same time, it's probably the one I'm most scared about as well. Just because, I don't know, I guess no one's done it. I've never done a straight individual time trial before. So, it's easy to say you think you might, whether it suits me or not, I don't really know. And, there's only one way to find out. And unfortunately, that's going up the hill right at the end of it. But, I think that's going to be good. I think it's going to split it up and change the racing a little bit. But in terms of, I guess, knowing a little bit more maybe what to expect, I'd say the eliminator. I think just, getting the chance to knock someone else out. And I think it's going to, promote aggressive sort of style racing. No one wants to be the last one across because, you can put it however you want, but you're the loser. Like, you're out and that's it. And I think, that's as straightforward as you can be about it.
Well, talking to forward, that's what I'll be. Straight after each leg of the eliminator, I'll be there with the microphone asking how you're feeling to either just scrape in or just dip out. So be prepared to get a microphone stuffed under your chin, the opportunity that I get. But we just talked about the equaliser, with the time trial, with a hilltop finish. Now, Jorik and Andrea, you both come from very strong traditional cycling countries, Holland and Switzerland, two very strong cycling renowned countries. Although, Jorik, you come from a country famous for being flat. Andrea, you come from a country famous for being mountainous, but both strong cycling countries. Are you excited about the equaliser and about a time trial? I mean, how are you feeling about your bike skills?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Go ahead, you go.
Well, I think I'm good on the flat. I think I'm a bit heavy for the big climb at the end, so I'm pretty scared for that. But I think I feel confident. What?
It's something like the Karlberg in Limburg.
Yeah, but I don't live really close to that, so I didn't train so much in the mountains. But we'll see about that. I'm pretty confident about my cornering skills, so I think I'm ready.
Yeah, well, the bike course is much like a criterium circuit. So have you done a bit of that when you were younger, before you really concentrated on triathlon?
No, I started out as a runner, but it turned out I was quite good in cornering, and I practiced a lot on it, so I'm all right with that.
And you, Andre, how are you feeling about the format with the different mix-up of the events, and of course the bike time trial, which could set someone up with a big lead going into the rest of day 2, and there's a lot of points on offer. And let's not forget, you guys are racing for a lot of money.
Yeah, as I said, I'm really excited, especially like Ryan Fisher told me the hill is pretty steep and it's going to be a nice one up there. And usually in Switzerland, we always go riding and we always have these big hills somewhere and we're used to it. So I'm really excited to see how I go when I have to ride flat and get my legs really tired and then make a big sprint into that hill, and we'll see if I survive it. I'm really excited to do this.
Oh, good. And Andre, I know. I remember living in Switzerland, and you were only a young buck. And I remember meeting your mother, who's a magnificent triathlete herself, and your brothers. And it seemed like 2016. You've had many breakthrough years, but 2016 for you was a super breakthrough year. You represented Switzerland at the Olympic Games. You were third at the European Championships. You've had such a rich history as a country in triathlon. Why is it that Switzerland, which is relatively cold, not really suited to a summer sport to some degree like triathlon, have been so great? You've had, Olympic champion in Sydney. You've had a bronze medalist in Athens. You've won the Kona Ironman with the women more than anyone. You've got guys like Ronnie Schultnick, yourself. What are you guys doing over there that's so different to the rest of the world? Because you're bloody good at this stuff.
I think, it is the country itself. As you guys know, we are neutral normally, and it is similar to like we people just we start young and we train, we have fun, and we still have education next to it. So as young athletes, we're not that strong because we don't have the training yet, but we enjoy it and we get more training in there, and we meet with other friends from our countries, and I think that's the way that we just become strong when we get older. And this is something similar to me. When I was young in the junior ages, I never had good results. I was just loving it, enjoying it. And the more I was training, the better I got. And now 2016 was for me the breakthrough. And I was really excited that I managed to get this far. And now I'm trying to hang on and get even better results.
Hey, Chris, just a moment ago, I mentioned these guys are racing for a lot of money, 100,000 prize money for first place. So that brings us to one of our Bollox energy curveball questions. Fish, pay attention. You win 100 grand. What are you going to do with it?
Oh, I don't know. I'd probably look at the numbers for a little bit. I don't know. It's one of those things. Someone the other day said something about, how good it's got to be racing in Hamilton Island. But, for 100 grand, I wouldn't care if I was in the desert. I'd go anywhere to race for 100 grand. And I think that's what, no matter what people say about how fun it's going to be and all this, I think, that's what attracts everyone. When you got that sort of money on the line, I think it changes it. Your race tactics, the approach, and how serious you put your preparation into it. But yeah, as far as what I do with it, I don't know. I think I'd, have a smile on my face while I look at my bank account for a little bit.
And you can buy me a beer, mate. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I'll do that for you, I guess.
Hey, Yorick, I've got an interesting question for you, because you were the youngest that we had in the Super League, the under-23 world champion. The under-23 world champion before you was an Australian guy who's also racing in Jacob Birtwistle. You've been considered the superstar of the future within IQ ranks. We've just allowed the introduction of 2 junior wildcards. You will no longer be the youngest. We've got young Matt Hauser from Australia, who will be starting Super League in the white junior kit, and a young guy, Dan Hoy, from New Zealand, who will also be starting on the weekends in the race. As one of the young guys, where do you see a lot of your improvement to come? You're about to step up and race the best of breed. What are the things you need to look at doing or changing or improving to take that next step to be the world champion at the elite level?
I think everybody knows my swimming is not as strong as it should be. So I'm focusing on that a lot and trying to improve that and get better and better and better. And I think if I have my swimming under control and I'm constantly in the first or second pack, I think that changes life for me, because then I don't have to spend so much energy on the bike and I run much better. So that's the key for my success, probably.
Well, if the swim's not there and you came from a track and field background, we got on day 1 with the triple mix, one of the events, race 2, starts with a run. Can we see you really applying some pressure on that opening 2-kilometre run? And we also have the runner's jersey, which is the jersey to the best runner in the series each day. Is that a jersey we should be looking at you grabbing, or? Not quite yet.
Well, I did one time before. I did a 3 days event race, and that's where I found out that you don't should put all in on the first day, because the second and third day was completely terrible, to say it nicely. So probably not, but I think if I'm gonna do anything weird or stupid, it will be on the third day.
Now, Yorick, you just realised you've given that secret away to two competitors who are also in on this.
Probably to everyone, but I think everyone knows now because everybody sees me do that race.
But to you other two guys, to Ryan and Andrea, you've looked at the program, you've looked at the order of events and how everything's mixed up. You had to, same as we just asked Yorick, if you had to pick out one place to go on the attack to try and grab time bonuses or really establish yourself, is there one thing that for you guys stands out as a big opportunity that you think, Andrea?
I think it's important to look out which race suits you the best. I'm not going to tell this here, but I'm looking over the races and I'm going to decide which one is for me best to grab some points. I saw there's for the win it's 20 points, and from the 15th place downwards it's just 1 point. So I'm sure I have to be strong on one day and then maybe look out the other 2 days where I can just get as points as possible. And I think that is the most interesting thing about this race, and it is something so new that I'm really excited to race there.
So still staying neutral as far as that answer goes.
Typical Swiss.
Come on, Fish. You got to
come on, Fish.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I reckon the second day.
Curveball. Tell them a lie. Tell us something though.
No, I reckon the second day. I'll tell you if it doesn't work out. It's just embarrassing for me. But I reckon for sure the equaliser. I think, and really, if someone chooses to attack a certain day, you can't really do too much about it anyway. You can either go with it or you can't. And that's sort of, I guess, what I'm going to go for. And outside of that, I think the last day I'm just going to try and hang on and do what I can, but I don't think I'm going to hold back too much to the last day. I think I'd rather go in with a lead or up the front and try and hang on rather than have to chase from behind.
So you think the incentive to hang on to the 100 grand will be enough to push you through the eliminator rather than trying to chase down a points deficit?
Yeah, I think so. I think, that's when competitive spirit and stuff comes in. And I think that's something, across the board, I've always been a pretty competitive person. So I'd rather go in with that, probably looking after me than having to chase these guys up the road.
We're talking about being competitive, Fish, and I guess this is a question to all three. It's one of our Bollox questions, our curveball questions. Why is 99% not good enough?
If we tell that, then everybody will be good enough. So
good. Yeah. Andrea?
99%, it's not good enough at all. I mean, it's just 1% sometimes, and maybe you can even go over this 100%. And I think that's the reason why we're all competing here. It's something that is really difficult and not many people can do. And you can see why the brownies are so strong. That's why they always go over 100%, and sometimes they just destroy themselves, and that's something beautiful to watch. And I always try to go this hard. And it doesn't work out every time, but when you reach it, you're like really happy and confident in yourself.
I think just because, 100% that's perfection. And I think that's what everyone strives for in sport and in day-to-day life every day. So I think, if there's one better, that's, if you're a competitive person, that's what you go for.
Hey, now, guys, we just heard the name mentioned, the Brownlees. Now, there's only going to be one Brownlee. I think that's a big advantage for the rest of you guys because they're renowned really working together well. If they get off the front, they commit 100% because they don't care which one of them wins. So does that make quite a difference to the rest of you that there's going to be just one Brownlee isolated with no Johnny in the field?
I don't think it has two ways. I have to say Johnny not racing means for me maybe one position up in front, but as well on the other side, it is one motorbike less on the front, like pushing really hard on the first couple meters on the bike. And this is definitely a disadvantage for me as a good swimmer and good rider. So there are two ways, and I'm going to see what it happens.
What do you think, Yorick?
If you ask me, it doesn't really matter. I think everyone for himself here. And I think there's no cooperation going on. So we'll see.
Yeah, I probably agree. I don't know. I don't really think, I think, I don't know. Together, they're a lot different. They're a lot different athletes, the way they race. And I think even the mentality that they race with, and when there's one of them, I think it's like it takes a little bit of confidence away. But in saying that, they're still, both of them individually are phenomenal athletes. But yeah, I think, just one of them, they're by themselves a little bit more. And I don't think people are as scared to probably attack them and do something for themselves.
Yeah, well, they've been dominant in the ITU circuit in those Olympic distance triathlons, but this is a totally different thing over 3 days with everything mixed up, much shorter. So taking that into consideration, and feel free to name yourselves if you want, but who do you think is a dark horse to win the overall? Because we talk about the big favourites, we're talking about Gomez, we talked about the Brownlees, but this is different. Do you see another athlete you say, this guy is going to be the one to beat? Go, Roddick.
Well, if you ask me, I think Christian Blumenfeld is really strong in the short distances. And it's all so short, so he might be a dark horse, but not sure about it.
And Andrea?
Yeah, it is a difficult question, and it is a new race. It could be someone totally new could come up there and show that he's the for. But I would go with Richard Murray, because I just know how fast he's on the bike, how strong he's on the run, and 300-meter swim. I think he's able to keep up there and stay on the feet first, or even get close out of the water. And I think he's a really competitive guy to win that race.
What about you, Fish?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's something, I've heard a lot of people talk about who do you think can win, and, someone that maybe hasn't proven themselves to be the best at ITU or long course, but, who cares, really? I don't know.
Hey, Howard, I'll just remind you, 100 grand. Who cares?
No, as in, who cares about the others, really? Like, with all due respect, I don't know. Maybe someone like Cam Dye, I think, is probably not forgotten about, but I think somebody who's probably going to be a lot more powerful than people probably give recognition for in ITU world, just because he probably hasn't, he hasn't been part of it for a long time. But I think someone like him is going to definitely turn a few heads, and I'd probably put my finger on someone like him.
Well, I don't like to go back to the old days, but I do recall these shorter racing. I think there was we do. That's why we're going to the island, Robbie, to talk about the glory days together. But I do recall, Andrea, in Switzerland, a very similar type short distance event on the Lake of Zurich, and here we have these very, very tight events. And I think when we were designing Super League, there was a lot of discussion around giving opportunities to people who don't make mistakes. As a tennis fan, I like watching that athlete that can apply pressure and is mistake free. And in Super League, it seems that these shorter races give opportunities to the younger athletes to excel. So, as I think you said, Fish, in one of your interviews on the SuperLeagueTriathlon.com website, that it doesn't matter about what you've done in the past or what. That's all out the wall, because this is all brand new. There's a lot of talk here. I've got a few of the athletes here that actually being young is a big advantage in this thing. Do you agree with that? And you guys being some of the youngest, the fact that these older guys may be a little bit slower, may have a little bit more miles in their legs, may not go the way that we're used to seeing in other events. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think you're talking about a wild card before in Matt Hauser, and he's someone that I trained with here on the coast, and like a lot of these guys that are racing wouldn't have even heard of him, but he's 19 and he's a phenomenal athlete. Even just being with him for the last sort of 4 weeks and to see what he can do at that age, and especially over the short stuff. And they've just finished their junior series, so they're super race fit. They've done a dozen or half a dozen sprint distance races now, and the national junior weekend and things like that. I think someone like him is going to be as dangerous as a big name in the World Series. And I think to forget about them almost is more dangerous. And the fact that they're going into this looking at everyone else, they have no pressure, no expectation. And on top of that, being great athletes, I think they're probably, some of the most dangerous guys to look at.
That's some really
you're a young bloke.
valid points there. Yeah, I reckon he's spot on with these young guys like Hauser coming out of a series or a series of races, very short stuff, Oceania champion, and coming in, and the adrenaline rush that he's going to have when he gets on the line with all these big names that he's looked up to and now get the chance to race them. I think you're spot on there, Ryan. Hey, Macca, what about one more curveball? We throw another Bollox Energy curveball. Bit of a left field one. If you guys were a superhero, which one would you be? You can make one up if you like.
Andrea. Start with Andrea. Start with the Swissy. Oh, he's gone. That cracked him. All right, Fish, you're up.
That was easier than I thought.
The invisible man.
He's the invisible man. That's what.
No, it would be simple. I mean, as a kid, I was always a fan of Batman, and with the new movies out there, I like him. Batman is a cool guy. When he's not in the suit, he's going out with some girls, and he's cool.
Right, so Andre will be hanging upside down in transition. That's how we'll spot him.
Yorick, what superhero, mate?
I've never been a really fan of superheroes and stuff, but if I can choose, I just like to be able to fly like a bird. That will be pretty cool. So, not sure which one is able to fly, but I'd like to fly.
I think they all do, don't they?
Really?
Well, let's go Superman, so Yorick.
Yeah,
Superman. Yeah, that's me.
That doesn't leave any good ones left, Fish.
Yeah, Superman was going to be my one. I should have cut in
Everyone
earlier.
wants to be Superman.
Yeah, well, there's still Banana Man, you know.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know. I was going to say Superman. I think anything that can fly is pretty cool. Look over everyone and
Yeah. All right, lads, you got to get back to training, boys. We won't take too much of your time, but we'll end with one more Bollox curveball, and that's where we'll end it up. And it says a lot about your character, I guess. I think this is why they asked this question. If you were a triathlon brand, or a sports brand, but a triathlon brand, what would your motto be?
if I was a triathlon brand, probably fear none, respect all, I'd say.
Oh, I like that one. Love it, Fish. I'm taking that. Let me write that down, mate. Andrea, you got one?
Yeah, that one with the respect is pretty cool. I like that because as athletes, we always race together and we look after each other, sometimes more, sometimes less, but the respect is important. And I think, it's about healthy and being strong. Those three words for a brand. I think it's very important.
Okay. Healthy and strong. All right, that's easy. What about Yorick?
I think we're all kind of individual athletes, so mine would be like, in this to win this, maybe, because you only think about yourself.
Yeah, good.
That appeals to Macca, that one does.
That's all about it. I love it, mate. You're my new favourite, Yorick. You're my new fave. Just write you down, in it to win it. All right, lads. No, appreciate you taking the time. Sorry we had a few issues at the start, but look forward to seeing you guys next week. We just had a look at the weather patterns. I don't know if you're following up there. We're in the tropics up there in Hamilton Island. It's stinking hot for the next 6 days, and then there seems to be a little bit of a weather system coming through, which could make for some interesting racing. So I look forward to seeing you on the island, and have a good one, guys. I'll see you next week.
Thanks for having us.
See you there.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Cheers, boys.